was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, they of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. You look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and characteristics of it? And then you say, could somebody come in a lawful church membership embodying that culture? No, they have to self-consciously repudiate that culture. Many were offended by a recent clip from the King's Hall podcast where I generalized from the massively disproportional rates of murder, rape, fraud, assault, etc. in the American black populace to say that black culture has a violence and murder problem. Let me give you a thought experiment to consider. Imagine a church in the U.S. with 100 men in membership. And of those 100 men, 65 of them were hood-wearing KKK members. They love to go out on the weekends and burn down black people's homes, shout racial slurs, and do some lynching. Now, imagine someone stood up and said, that church has a racially motivated violence problem. They should probably repent. Would you say that the man who issued a rebuke like that was an unregenerate heretic? A fool yelling rash nonsense? Would you bring up the 35 men in the church who weren't in the KKK and object to the generalization? Of course you wouldn't. But something like 65 black households out of 100 in America today are single-parent households. Why is that? Well, as Charlie Kirk put it recently, it's because the black women have divorced the black men and married the government instead. It's because black culture in its music and media glorifies sexual promiscuity. It's because there's not a strong social stigma against impregnating a woman you aren't going to marry in the black culture broadly today. Black fatherlessness is not an excuse for black culture. It's rather another defect of black culture. So may I make a lawful generalization from these data points about black households? May I issue such a rebuke in the hope that black Americans would repent of these sins? I think the answer is obviously yes. I think I can make a similar rebuke concerning murder, violence, fraud, rape, and many other besetting sins of black culture in America. In my own congregation, 99% of my time is spent calling my people to specific repentance for our own specific sins. We help our people walk through the besetting sins of our own peoples and families, repudiate them, and walk in the light of Christ rather than the follies of our forefathers. So before you shout at me about how racist I am, maybe pause for a moment and soberly consider the rebuke. I give it because I don't want blacks in America to be like this. I want them to repent, just as I want my own people to repent of their feminism, their abortion, their birth control, their abandoning of their children to government schools that hate them, and many.
Bruh, miss me with that. First of all, miss me with the whole, we won't permit you to live your black culture. But secondly, man, I hope he don't have daughters. I hope he don't have daughters, because his daughter's gonna be a target for him. That's gonna be a problem. That's probably that would be what fuels. I mean, this is karma. You don't want black people around you that bad, and you let them in your church.
I'm sure he's raising his daughters, if he has daughters, not to be around black men.
That's not gonna help.
That's what Hulk Hogan did.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That was my example. Hulk Hogan, he didn't want that, and he got it. This is crazy, man. Like, okay, I wish Shania had a camera on her. He started off quoting Charlie Kirk.
And I wanted to say, don't bring him into this. Because when Charlie Kirk brought that, first of all, in that state, I hate that they love to take Charlie Kirk out of context or whatever, but what that snippet is true, but you don't weaponize truth, bro. Yeah. It's not validating what you're saying. And I want to be careful with my words, because I have so many things that may align with what James is going to say. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this baton over to James.
I don't think you and James are going to be on the same on the same wavelength with this one.
Why do you assume my wavelength is different? I think I'm trying to
because
it's Patreon, Shania.
Because I believe you believe Charlie Kirk was a racist.
Yeah.
There. You don't.
I don't believe that Charlie Kirk is a racist, and I think a lot of statements that I've even seen in quotes when I actually went back and saw the video and saw the full context of it, I agree with what he said. So I don't think he's a racist at all. I think the guy we're listening to is a racist and a bigot and is weaponizing truth. And I think if we put a Charlie Kirk video side by side to what this ninja is saying, and the ignorance that he's putting off and being divisive, we will see a clear difference between what racism actually looks like. Because nothing Charlie Kirk said ever looked or sound or was packaged anything like what this man is saying right here.
But those were direct quotes from Charlie Kirk.
No, they wasn't.
It was a snippet, and Charlie Kirk wasn't the only person that said that.
Yeah. I saw Charlie Kirk say that exact thing to a black kid.
But it's true. Black women
about the stats.
About the stats.
Numbers.
But here's my thing. My thing is, this is not your business.
That's the problem.
So that's the point. So it's not what he said that's what's racist or egregious or what's upsetting. You feel like it wasn't his place to say it.
It makes you a racist,
just say that. That does not make you racist.
Statistics don't make you a racist.
That does not make you racist.
No. If I go out and I start giving the Asian community their statistics on XYZ, right? I don't want to say that out loud, but if I start giving them their statistics on XYZ,
just do the opposite side of the coin.
It's not my business.
The white community will say
so if
school shootings, bombings, whatever. No,
malicious.
Whatever. Yeah, malicious type stuff.
Militia group.
But see, that's not generalizing a whole group of people.
It is.
A whole race of people. If you talk about white people and school shootings, you're talking about the percentage of white people that have performed school shootings. He's talking about black people in general. Yeah. Oh, if you come to my church, I'm not permitting you to live your culture. What do you know about my culture?
Did the government have a say in why your culture is the way that it is? Like that's the part
I want to unpack.
Go ahead, bro.
It's a good old man named Willie Lynch. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar with Willie Lynch, they had a whole foolproof plan to pretty much destroy the whole black race. First of all, by calling us black.
Yeah.
Instead of acknowledging us by our origin or where we're from.
Exactly.
So that's another conversation.
Exactly.
So the black man. So what they did is set up a process of having systematic racism to where we're continuously feeling inferior, feeling less than. They even took the Bible. You even see the Bible that the slaves had. They'll say some scriptures of the Holy Bible. Mm-hmm. And they pick scriptures, like Shania said, that they can twist and weaponize to make us feel inferior and try to justify their slavery and things that they were doing to us by saying God is okay with this. Fast forward on to the 80s. Crack comes. You look at us, you already put us in marginalized neighborhoods. Our schools don't get the same kind of funding. We don't get the same kind of resources. We don't get the same kind of job opportunity. We don't get the same nothing. Just being real. Civil rights and all that kind of stuff. We had to fight for a right to vote, to be acknowledged as a human being. Going back real quick, at one point, we weren't even acknowledged as a full person. You know what I'm saying? We were a fraction of a person.
Exactly.
You move forward to the 80s, you put crack in our communities. You don't put it in the white communities, you put crack in who communities? So now you got people who are impoverished, trying to survive. You say it's a war on drugs while you're constantly putting the drugs and the guns in our community. Mm-hmm. You created a monster. Now we fast forward to the hip-hop industry. What are we rapping about? Drugs, lust, stuff. Who fueled that whole thing in our community?
They did.
When we have Black Wall Street, when we have all the rest of this stuff, what did they do?
They burned it down.
So it's just like me creating something and then getting mad at them because of what I created.
Yeah.
And now we do have to take accountability. Some of us are intelligent enough to know, like, hey, we don't need to be doing these things. Mm-hmm. But for this ignorant joker to come up here and say the whole black culture is this, when you can look in Atlanta, you see more black business owners than you can see anywhere in like, you know what I'm saying? Like inventors, all the inventions that we created that y'all stole to stop, like the cotton gin. I can go on. You know what I'm saying? Everything.
America has is black owned.
Everything that we done. And y'all can discredit all of that. And then now you want to come out and just tear us down and act like we just these ignorant animals who don't have no kind of self-control or nothing. But then when I come out and say this stuff, as a Christian, you shouldn't be worried about that. We got to just do this and do this. And I get what you're saying. I'm like, come on, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, for me to be asked to be treated like a human being is not a sin. Yeah. Like, if they don't do it, guess what? I still got to love them. I still got to respect them. I understand all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But dang it, I'm not wrong for speaking up and saying, look, I'm not finna stand for you talking about me like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. Like, and that's what they want us to do. And I'm just not going. I'm sorry. If that make me racist, if that make me a Black Panther, that make me whatever you want to call me. I love the Lord just like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was sitting here talking about you like that, if I said, oh man, every time somebody get assassinated on some shooting, who shot according to what they say anyway, who shot Martin Luther King?
White man.
John F. Kennedy.
White man.
Abraham Lincoln.
White man.
Charlie Kirk.
White man.
Columbine.
White man.
Oklahoma City bombing.
White man.
You know what I'm saying? Like 1996 Olympics.
White man.
If we come out and say, "Oh man, you can't have no major event because the white man gonna blow it up," you know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna feel about that? Oh man, it might be a sniper on the roof. You can't have a speech.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but we supposed to be okay with it. I'm not going.
Yeah.
And especially when you have kids that are in impoverished communities that don't even have access to a full meal, but got guns. And whenever you hear, you know, I know Plain James knows about, like, I remember when I was coming up, and I lived in South Central.
Yeah.
The trains would come and detach and just leave a car there, and there'd be guns in there. Whenever I've seen shootouts like in the 80s, and the guns that they was pulling out look so old and you know what I'm saying, all weathered and stuff. I'm like, what are these guns? Now I know those are the ones from during the that, you know, they claim that they're contraband. They traded the guns for the drugs. So these are the reason why we got these old guns, right? We don't take into consideration for a woman in order to get on the county, a man can't be in the house. You know, like it's just one thing after another that points to the conditioning.
And what about
how does a 15-year-old boy in the projects get a hold of a Russian machine gun? Yeah. How you 13 years old? And you know how to get you get a 223. You get an AK-47 at 13 years old. That it don't just fall out the sky. Where it come from?
No.
And let's talk about going back all the way to slavery, where men were brought in to mate with the women, and then they took them from their homes and they put them on different plantations and they sold them off. They broke the family structure of the black.
Book breaking.
Some of them were even forced to mate with their mamas.
Yeah.
Because they were,
That's where you know, that curse word from.
Positive specimens and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then we don't take into consideration is during, when we were fighting for the right to vote, we actually were fighting for the right to vote again. During Reconstruction, we were allowed to do all kinds of stuff. And we excelled at such a quick rate that they were like, oh no, we got to do something. Like, this is not working.
Yeah.
We were partnering with lower class whites in order to get our land. Since we were good with, you know, tilling the ground, we were able to produce fruit. They were like, oh no, we got to do something about that. So then they said, okay, all y'all white people from all over this world, y'all are now white. We ain't gonna even look at y'all as nothing. And then all of a sudden it was those people that turned on us. When we start talking about during the Willie Lynch and during, you know, that's when that happened to us. So
how you come to a land with people living on it and say you found it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I go in your pocket and say, "Oh man, I found $100,"
I found a wallet.
How I find that when it's in your pocket already? But then you want to call us murderers. You want to call us all these wretched things. And all this. You took a whole group of people, took their land, killed them, put them on a trail, and now you give them little reservations, little pieces of land. And the first thing you do on that piece of land is put a liquor store and a casino so they can destroy themselves and you can get the land
and
right.
You know
back.
what else you did? You made it a national holiday. You made a national holiday out of it to remind them.
Columbus.
Exactly.
A rapist, a pedophile, and a murderer. And you're going to give him a national holiday. That's why I ain't even say nothing through that other segment earlier.
Of course.
Because I just said, you know what? I'm just not going to say nothing. Something's just better left unsaid. But the same thing is happening. Like, ain't nothing new under the sun. So when I see this stuff, I get mad when I hear it, but I expect it, to be honest. That's the unfortunate part about it. I expect it. Now, am I finna go out here and be the exact thing they are to us? Am I gonna do that to them? No, I'm not gonna be hateful. I'm not gonna be rude. Like I deal with people every day. I say I deal with people every day at work, and I'm still gonna be the same person. I'm gonna love the Lord. I'm gonna do something, but I'm not gonna let you disrespect me. Yeah, like I'm not gonna just sit back and just take it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna either leave you alone, or we're gonna have a conversation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them people just sit back and just let you spit in my face and I'm gonna call it rain. I'm just not one of them people. Like,
no, and I think a lot of us feel like, I mean, you have a different energy, obviously, but I feel the same way. I just don't articulate it as well. But I feel the same way. But my thing is like this. I've always said that I would never go back and tell a Jewish person how bad the Holocaust was. I would never tell them that slavery was worse than Holocaust. I would never say that because I don't know the repercussions of what your family is feeling from that. You don't know the repercussions of what my family is feeling from that. We can compare, mass internment camps versus 400 years of slavery all day long. But at the end of the day, because I'm not Jewish, because that's not my heritage, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, I feel your pain and I'm praying for you. Because it's not my heritage, because it's not my culture, because I don't understand it and I never will. So that's what bothers me when people come out and they start giving these statistics about the black community and how evil we are and how our culture is this and our culture is that. And so that's what makes you a racist, in my opinion. You talk about something that has nothing to do with you, but you want a platform for it, you want to be able to voice your opinion about it, and you want to make other people who are already on the fence hateful, more hateful. So, that's why the Charlie Kirk stuff bothers me.
Yeah. I think just to going back what Shania was talking about, I think the difference was, I don't think, and this is just my opinion, and based off the clips I saw with Charlie Kirk, I don't think Charlie Kirk was like, hey, that black culture stuff, stay over there. I don't think, I've never seen nothing when he said that.
That was...
I know he said statistics. He named off statistic, but I think if you was a black person that was trying to work, I think to me what Charlie Kirk was, if you was a black person that's trying to leave the Democrats and go Republican, he was all for you. Mm-hmm. Just being honest. And I've seen that with all types of black people. So I don't think that was his statement. Now, I do think, like you said, that people are going to start weaponizing his philosophy into more racial,
yes,
and even deeper racial stuff.
Yes.
Like for some people, like Charlie Kirk was like, I get what you're saying, but you white, so you shouldn't be saying that. And you're borderline racist, or for some people, that's racist. But I think he is letting, like, I think his rhetoric is giving more energy to white supremacy and more energy to that in any way. Now, I think the problem is, like, I think the number one problem with all this is you can't say that if you didn't cause it. And I think that's the sentiment around the table. It's like, yo, your ancestors caused some stuff in the black community, the reason why it is what it is. Is the statistics right? It could be. Yeah. Statistics could be right. But at the same time, you can't say that and be on your high mighty when you have people killing people, white people killing people, white people doing embezzlement schemes, white people doing criminal activity themselves, decapitating people, right. Jeffrey Dahmer and all these other people, Wayne Grace, you know what I mean? Child pedophiles. You talking about black people?
Serial killers.
Right. So I have a question. Then what do you guys define an ally to be? Do you define an ally to be someone who is going to say everything that was said and speak on that, or do you define an ally that understands what the situation is and also try to help you? Because that's the way I look at Charlie Kirk. Yeah, he did speak on some things, but he wasn't somebody that just said dumb stuff like this guy is saying. He's saying facts, but he's also trying to come up with solutions.
Yeah. He
started Blexic to try to help figure out how, let me bring all of these brilliant black minds together to figure out how can we understand the situation. Now, how do we move on from this? What do we do to fix it? We understand all of this is a thing. How are we going to fix this thing? So I see him as an ally.
This is my thing with that. I didn't mean to cut you off. My thing with him is why I feel like it's like it's so many comments, right? It's like over 100 comments online of him saying stuff that could be deemed as controversial if you pull clips out. My thing is, like, he's a pretty intelligent man, I would think. I think for people to be able to grab that many clips, either they really hate you, or you're just negligent on the way you communicate a lot of the times, to the point where you feel like however you say something is right, and you're not really taking into consideration how this can be perceived. In the Bible, it says stay away from the very appearance of sin. Mm-hmm. Like you don't even want to take a risk on possibly offending someone. Like, if I got to come back and take everything you say and exegete it every time, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you got to realize, hey, these people who I'm claiming that I want to help, the way I'm communicating this and I'm articulating this is offensive to these people.
Some of these people.
To a large majority.
Because, I counter what you're saying even in that. This is 2025. Mm-hmm. People are sensitive and they're in their feelings and they argue about every single thing.
Agreed.
So that's easy. Even in our comments now, we got a slew of people that's in our comments. The slightest thing that said people can exegete me and feel like that I hate people and condemn people to hell for watching Beyonce and doing different things like that. So it's like some people are being offended, but not everyone's offended.
And I agree with that.
Everyone is so easily offended nowadays that you can't say the slightest thing.
I agree with that. But as a Christian, with that being the case, do I just say, oh, well, it is what it is? Or do I at least make an attempt to try to say, hey, I'm going to tell the truth in love, and I'm going to try not to be offensive, or it is what it is? I don't feel like we should have it is what it is mentality. Now, if you're telling me certain stuff like concrete facts, if I'm saying like, look, man, Jesus died on the cross for your sins, rose on the grave in 3 days with all power in his hand, defeating the power of sin and death. And you say that's hateful. You know what I'm saying?
But James, if I say the black father, the success rate of a family is with a father in the household. And I would love to see more black fathers.
If you got the statistics on how many families are unsuccessful without a father in a black household, give me the statistics on why the black father is not in the household.
Got you.
See what I'm saying? Like, don't just come over here and talk about all the ills of our community, all the negativity in our community without giving us a real answer. I ain't heard Charlie Kirk get up now one time. If he's trying to help us,
is go Republican. That's the real answer.
The answer was divorce the government.
You're right.
That was what he was saying. Yeah. The answer is that's when that issue happened for us. And it's even the movie off that Spike Lee even made. That was an issue for our community once the government, because yes, you have people in the government that want to divide the black community. So they have these opportunities and stuff for us, so that it's people that would rather have government support than be married.
So why would people rather have government support? Why?
I'm not arguing against any of this.
Just keep going.
Right. Okay. So that's all I'm saying. Like what you're saying, I get what you're saying. I don't want you to feel like I'm just trying to refute what you're saying. It bothers me when people can't understand why we feel the way we feel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I get what he's saying. I understand what they're saying. I've seen the videos when they go back and reinterpret what he's saying, whatever. But I'm just like, how negligent is it that we have so many comments that we got to go back and reinterpret what you said when you could have said what you said a different way? It's like, for me, if I'm going somewhere and the way I talk is kind of error, I done toned it down. You know what I'm saying? All the simple fact. Being real, I done toned it down to be on the show. Like, if in a different space, I communicate differently. But out of respect for the platform, out of respect for the people who are listening, and people from different walks of life and different things, I'm gonna try to, you know what I'm saying, express myself truthfully and real in a way that's not gonna be offensive. Even though I know folks are sensitive, you can't please everybody. I get it, but it's an intentionality on my behalf to try to communicate in a way you're not gonna be offended. Yeah, I don't know it's hard. I ain't saying he ain't, but it came across to me like he was one of them guys. Like, hey, it is what it is. Suck it up. Like, this is how I feel about it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I don't feel like that's the right way to communicate to people who already feel less than, or feel marginalized, or feel disrespected, or feel belittled, or feel like you talking down to me.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry.
You good? You good? Yeah, you good.
Do you feel like, I've been seeing this thing online, and this is kind of his sentiment that the gentleman that was talking about, or the guy was talking about, the pastor, about black fatigue. And the reason I'm asking about that is, have y'all seen that? Have y'all seen black fatigue?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, basically, it's white people and some black people that's like seeing a black woman at a Walmart about to fight somebody because somebody says something like, not even crazy, but like, hey, don't do that. You mind your bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, it's almost
enough's enough.
Yeah, it's almost like Chris Rock, black people versus the N-word, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question to us is he coming from that standpoint of what I'm seeing in the media with black people, and I said this on the call, what I'm seeing in the media of black people is thuggery, baby mamas, this, that. I don't see a positive representation. So when my church, if you gonna come here, please act like you got some sense. Is that what he's saying?
This is a problem. And this is one thing I don't think anybody really, like, I pay attention to this whenever I see a timeline of maybe a kid that I'm, discipling or whatever, right? Like, I try to stay in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
When I see, like, a girl fighting a man, and then she goes slash the tires, and he run her over with the car. Like, this is actual video that was,
Oh, wow. God. That's crazy.
And on the screen, it's like laughing emojis, because we're so used to trauma that it's just ghetto life is just, this is just what it is, right? When I look at that, I'm not looking at it through the lens of, man, this is another people in the hood doing the same old stuff. I look at it as, who is watching this that normally would not be watching it, right? And so sadly, they are profiting off of our pain. Number one, they're like when you have a kid like Lil RT. I know y'all familiar with Lil RT. When you got somebody like 9 years old, well, he's probably like 10 or 11 now, but he talking about getting oral sex, talking about got the got money up to his head. His song was called 60 Miles, where he talking about running from the police at 9. He on Instagram with his partner who's 8 smoking weed, but nobody's saying anything about it. It's the perpetuation of a lifestyle that they're doing on purpose, right? It's funny where we can have these discussions and people think that we're, like over exaggerating, but we have learned how to tone our stuff down to say anything about, like, we don't even talk about the Jewish Holocaust or any of that. People know not to even say nothing about that because they know what the repercussions of that is going to be, right? We can, everything that can be told to us, but then they could turn around and tell us, well, man, that's just a figment of your own imagination. Like, you need to be pulling your own self up by your bootstrap. Like, that's where the black fatigue can kind of come in. It's like, we seeing what's going on.
We ain't got no boots.
Yeah, we seeing the screaming.
We don't have no laces. We got
Yes.
boots. We ain't got no laces.
Media controls what you see, and so especially in certain contexts, in white America, think about it. We are only 13% of the population. There are some people that don't get to really interact with black people, and so they get what is called culturally encapsulated. So all they know is the world around them and how their people interact and everything. So they're expecting that the same norms that they're learning, the same rules that they're learning, other people are learning. And that's not always the case. That's not all that black people are as we see sorry, I got distracted. But yeah. So yeah. And I was trying to catch my thought back. And the thing is like, yes, media always promotes negativity because, again, negativity drives the attention. Negativity is what's going to get people talking versus positive conversations, even in our news. And so, of course, like, all the positive things that black people are doing aren't as highlighted as much. And so if you're Edward in Iowa and all you don't have any black friends, all you know is what you see on the media, then to inform you of what black people are, it's easy to assume that what you see with baby mamas and thugging, that's black culture.
And this is another thing that I find such like, it's an atrocity. When we watch a documentary, right? You see a lion kill a lion in the jungle. Do you feel sorry for the lion that got killed? Do you feel sorry for the gazelle that the lion jumped on? Right? Because the mentality is, they're just animals. That's just what animals do. Yeah. The reality is, when we look at how we're looked at in reference to culture and what is being perpetuated, whenever we hear about somebody dying in a hood, you don't never hear the response that you should hear, an outcry of, man, this is injustice, right? But then when you have a case like, with the man that was in Montgomery and he went to Auburn and he killed the white woman, now all of a sudden the comments is, we need to bring hanging back. I'm reading this stuff. They ain't nothing but monsters. Like, they need to be, let's just throw them under the jail right now. We need to kill them in front of it. The thought process is they just like, they that lion, because we know they animals in the wild. That's just what animals do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a thought process, but we have been conditioned. Because if you put any animal in a cage and treat it, like animal, it's going to respond and react in the way that it does. We're pouring the fuel with the music of shoot, kill, sleep around. It's like the same message, the same Sambo. He's super, all of that stuff.
Who run the record labels?
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Who putting the funding behind the marketing and promotion?
Yeah.
Who decide what's getting played on the radio?
Yeah.
Who run the internet?
Yeah.
I think more conversations need to be had. That's what needs to be had. Like, even my upbringing was a little different. I went to a British boarding school in Germany, and from K through 12, it was only 2 blacks. There was one in the 3rd grade, and then there was me in the 8th grade. And so, and I was American, so I was the spokesperson for everything black. in America. So they still believe we had tails. And so, I went through those years explaining and debunking all these myths over there because they didn't grow up with black people. They only heard about it.
Yeah.
And so it took years for them to warm up to me. Like the whole school, teachers, everything. I went from honor roll to the lowest classes, because the teachers just refused to work with me.
Wow.
They just didn't like me.
Wow.
Everything I turned in, they just would just redline it. Like, I don't know how to talk. You don't know how to speak correctly. And so it was like crazy. But that just showed me the world and how they view us. And all they knew was what they saw on television and what they heard or read in books. Yeah. And those books were skewed, still saying black people had tails or your women were like this or, and they had all those questions. But I had to answer those questions for them. And some of the people I'm still in contact with today through social media, but they don't remember that. All they remember is, hey, remember you play basketball for the school and we had a great time. And I'm thinking, no, I did not have a great time.
Yeah.
I did not. But you guys enjoyed me, but that was rough. I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Wow.
But I think conversations need to be had, even with racists, because some of them were just outright didn't like me, Aryans in the school, and they would come back and say what their dad said they should do to me, and then they surround me and like they were ready.
Wow.
So and then a teacher would come by, no, leave him alone. Wow. Because I was like exposed to it. I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. We need to stop giving license though. Like if we say, if you got a comedian, he's talking about somebody in a wheelchair, cracking a joke, but the person next to him is a person in a wheelchair and they're laughing. That kind of gives them, excuse to say, see, he laughing, everything's cool. The problem with us is that, some of us are at such a helpless state that it's like you just dangle a little money in front of me, then I'll do all of I will meet every single stereotype that you didn't put out here for. Mm-hmm. And then they can step back and say, oh, well,
see, look at him.
He said it was okay. Yeah. You said it was okay. Like, it's okay.